Is the Motorola Moto G Stylus 2021 worth buying in 2022? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, and this is the Moto G Stylus 2021. Now, as the name does suggest, this phone was launched in January of 2021, so at this point, it's about 1 year old. Now, this device was offered both factory unlocked and at a variety of different prepaid and postpaid carriers. And it's definitely possible that at the time that you're watching this video, this device is still being offered at some different carriers. Now, since this phone did launch, we did get kind of an indirect successor. We got the Moto G Stylus 5G. So that is a little bit of a different phone. Of course, it does feature 5G. And this particular model of the device, the Moto G Stylus 2021, is 4G LTE only. So I do want to make that clear so that there's no potential confusion. Now, this device originally featured an MSRP of $299. Now, definitely take a look at the various links in the video description to see the most up-to-date pricing for the phone, because I'm sure as we get further and further into 2022, you'll be able to get this for even better deals. Now, with the Moto G Stylus 2021, we're getting a very large display at 6.8 inches. Now, the display itself is IPS LCD at 1080p. We're getting a PPI of 386, a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor here, which is pretty consistent with most other modern devices that have been launched within the last year. And we're getting an 84.8% screen-to-body ratio. So in general, pretty small bezels overall. The bottom bezel is slightly thicker, but in general, the front panel of this phone does feature a very clean design. Now in the upper left corner here, we do have a hole punch for the 16 megapixel front-facing camera, and definitely check out my full review that I've already done of the Moto G Stylus 2021 to see a variety of different photo and video samples from the phone. But for the most part, I've been very happy with the quality from the cameras. Now with the device, we're getting 128 gigabytes of internal storage, so that certainly is very generous, and I'm glad that we're getting that much. But also, the phone does offer microSD card expansion. So if you do want to add a microSD card to maybe offload some photos and videos, for example, then that's certainly not a bad idea, and it is something that you can do here with the phone. Now, there is no wireless charging with the Moto G Stylus 2021, but the device does feature a fingerprint sensor on the power button, so let's give that a try right now. Very fast and responsive. One more time. So definitely very accurate and quick. So I'm definitely a big fan of that fingerprint sensor, and having it on the power button is also a very convenient placement. So good job, Motorola, with that design. Now, in addition to that, the phone does feature face unlock as well. So I do appreciate that we do have multiple methods here for accessing the phone. Now, taking a look at the camera module on the rear of the phone, we do have a quad camera setup. So we're getting a 48 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera to assist with portrait mode, and we're getting a 2 megapixel macro camera for close-up images. Now here's how things look on the camera app on the device. This is with the main camera right now. Then from here, we can switch over to the ultra wide angle camera, which does allow us to fit quite a bit more content into the frame. I'm a big fan of using the ultra wide angle camera when traveling, for example, because maybe I'm walking around and there's a large building or scenery, maybe some trees or something that I want to take a picture of. Being able to switch to the ultra wide angle camera allows me to fit a lot more into the frame. Now, not every situation is appropriate for the ultra wide angle camera, but I do really like how it gives us yet another way to change up the types of images that we're capturing. And of course, that applies for both photo and video. But we can also switch over to the macro camera to get very close up here and retain a lot of detail. So definitely something that also can come in handy in certain situations. Maybe there's a flower that you want to take a picture of, for example, then the macro camera certainly will help out with that. So there's photo and video. Video does support 4K for the rear camera, which is also really awesome. So you can see right there, 4K video. Now 4K does not support the ultra wide angle camera, but if we switch over to 1080p, we can then use the ultra wide angle camera for video. Then from here, we can go over to this menu down in the bottom right corner, and there we can access a variety of different other modes for both photo and video. So for photo, for example, we have portrait mode, cutout, spot color, night vision, cinematograph, panorama, group selfies, live filter, and pro mode. And then for video, we have slow motion, time lapse, and spot color. So heading over to portrait mode here, we can get those nice blurred out backgrounds that I know that everybody's a big fan of. And then flipping around to the front-facing camera, we can also take nice portrait mode photos here. Or if we want to, we can just take standard images as well, and same for video. Now with the Moto G Stylus 2021, we're getting 4 GB of RAM paired up with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 678 processor. So in general, that's a pretty good mid-range configuration there. Certainly a little bit towards the lower end compared to other mid-range devices, but considering that this phone does feature an MSRP of just $299, that's actually a pretty good setup in general, offering us quite a bit of value. Now I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 5, and I recommend running this test on your current phone, and then compare your scores to the scores that I got with the device. So I got a single core score of 538 and a multi-core score of 1588. Now again, these scores don't really mean anything unless you're comparing them to something else. So I definitely recommend doing that because it is possible that maybe the phone you have right now could be a little bit quicker than even this device, or the other way around. It really just depends on what you're switching in from. But in general, as I mentioned a bit ago, the specifications that we're getting for both the RAM and processor and the real life experience that I've had from the phone will give you good performance in general for most tasks. It's really just for the most high demanding tasks out there that you will run into some issues and slowdowns. But if you're using your phone primarily for phone calls, text messages, web browsing, and social media, then the Moto G Stylus 2021 certainly will get the job done for you. But if you do like to do high performance gaming, or maybe you're just someone that spends a ton of time on your smartphone and it's worth justifying going for something more premium, then I would certainly consider that. But for most people out there, the type of performance that you will be getting here with the Moto G Stylus 2021 will get the job done. Now with this device, we do have a 4,000 milliamp hour internal battery, which is pretty good. That will definitely get you through an entire day of usage. Now as far as software goes, the Moto G Stylus 2021 originally came with Android 10, but since then, my device has been updated to Android 11. Now I don't know if, when, or ever the phone will get Android 12. I believe Motorola has pledged to provide at least 2 major software updates, which means that we probably will eventually get Android 12. But on the other hand, Android 12 has already been out for a little bit now, and again, we just got Android 11 relatively recently, within the last few months. So I have a feeling that if the phone does end up getting Android 12, we're going to be waiting quite a bit for it. Now, if that's not an issue for you, then don't worry about it. But if you do really want to have the newest and latest version of Android on your device, then you might be a bit disappointed with the Moto G Stylus 2021. In general, though, I do actually really like the software on the phone. I like that essentially it is stock Android, but at the same time, Motorola has added in a variety of their own bonus features. Now, one downside with the Moto G Stylus 2021 is that there is no NFC. So if you like to use your phone to make mobile contactless payments, then just know that you can't do that here with the Moto G Stylus 2021, which is a bit disappointing. But now that I've gone over a variety of the major highlights of the phone, let's take a closer look at the hardware. So as I mentioned before, we have a nice large display here with pretty small bezels overall. I'm definitely a big fan of this design. Now taking a look at the right side of the phone, we have the power button, which is also the fingerprint sensor, volume down and volume up. Also, this phone is made completely out of plastic, besides the display, which is glass. So the side frame here is plastic, and on the back of the phone, this is plastic as well, even though the phone does appear a bit more premium than the materials might suggest. In general, the quality of the device does feel nice and solid, and it certainly doesn't feel cheap. Now taking a look at the left side of the phone, we just have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card. Then up top here we have the noise canceling microphone, and then on the bottom of the phone, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, microphone, and speaker, and also the stylus. Now, before we get to the stylus, I do want to mention that this phone does not feature stereo audio. So if you are watching videos, for example, or listening to music on the phone, you're only going to be getting audio out of the main speaker in the bottom, and the earpiece will not assist with audio when watching videos or listening to music or doing anything. The earpiece just serves as an earpiece for phone calls, which is a little bit different from some of the other mid-range devices that Motorola did put out in the past, but it is what it is. I don't know if that's important to you or not, but just know that the main speaker does at least sound good enough that I don't have any complaints with it. Now, as far as the stylus goes, the stylus features a punch-out, punch-in design here, so I definitely like that. Pretty similar to the Galaxy Note line of phones. Now, as soon as you remove the stylus, you do get this pop-up on the right side here, giving you some quick action toggles. You can also customize these if you want, and if you want to download some third-party stylus-friendly apps from the Play Store, you can add them here as well. But let's try drawing something. So you can draw images, you can write. So there's a lot you can do with the stylus. It's not quite as advanced as what we're used to with the Galaxy Note devices, but for a mid-range, kind of lower-end phone like this one, this is a pretty nice feature to have. And if you're considering getting a more premium phone with a stylus, and I don't know if they're ever really going to be bringing back the Note series of phones again, because the Galaxy Note 20 series was the last in that series, but assuming that they do bring back some more premium stylus phones in the future, this might be a good entry point to see if you even use a stylus with a phone, instead of going for a very premium device and then find out later that the stylus is more of a gimmick for your needs. It really just depends. If you're someone that takes a lot of notes, maybe this is the way to go. Maybe you like to draw in your spare time or all the time. This could be good as well. Or maybe the stylus will turn out to be something that you end up not actually even using in practice. The good news, though, is that if you don't use the stylus a whole lot, if at all, it does tuck away nice and securely at the bottom of the device and really doesn't get in the way or add any additional thickness to the phone. So in general, I feel like having the stylus is nothing but a good thing. So in conclusion, is the Motorola Moto G Stylus 2021 still worth buying in 2022? In general, I'm very happy with this phone. I think it's aged very well. I do appreciate that we've at least gotten the Android 11 update. And in general, I think it offers quite a few enticing specifications and features that make this phone stand out from the competition. I suppose the only thing to consider is what other options you might have. So for example, if you can get a Moto G Stylus 5G, which again is a different phone from this phone, and you can get it for essentially the same price, I probably would go for that instead, because remember, this phone is limited at just 4G LTE. So as far as long-term usage goes, I'd imagine you're not really going to run into any issues to the extent where the phone won't work, but at the same time, having access to the latest and greatest 5G technology certainly can pay off in the long term. But I hope you enjoyed this video looking back at the Moto G Stylus 2021 in 2022. If you liked the video, definitely give it a thumbs up. But this is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next video.